On today's episode of Newsflash, a smear campaign designed to shut out an insurgent Democrat challenging one of the most powerful Democrats in Congress. Also, how Biden chose Kamala Harris, the tyranny of Florida Democrats, the new UAE-Israel peace deal, and Ed Markey coming out with a vengeance and a fire new ad against Joe Kennedy. We're going to be talking about those things today on episode 424 of Newsflash. Thank you so much for joining us here today. We've got a lot of energy. It's a Friday. Just hit the afternoon here. Hopefully everyone's enjoying the last few weeks of their summer. Wow, a few good months of good weather, I guess. And hopefully everyone's staying healthy, good with the COVID and all of that. So, yeah. We start off today with this story, and a really interesting, fascinating story, again, by really the wonderful people on The Intercept, doing some of the most important work out there, in really covering stuff that the mainstream media will never cover. And this is a story I want to lead with. It's got no coverage, the fact that this college Democrats group possibly may be associated, they do have links to the incumbent here, tried to launch out one of the progressive challengers. So pretty much what's happening is the leadership, and this is Ryan Grimm and Daniel Boguslaw in The Intercept, saying here, the leadership of the University of Massachusetts Amherst College Democrats began discussing an operation they believe could sink the campaign of Alex Morse for Congress as far back as last October, a plan that they then helped engineer, which came to fruition on Friday, just about a week ago, after college Democrats sent a letter regarding Morse to the Daily Collegian, the school's student newspaper. The letter was sent 3 weeks before his primary challenge to Representative Richard Neal, one of the most powerful Democrats to chair the House Ways and Means Committee, and informed Morse that he was no longer welcome at college Democrats' events, alleging he used opportunities to socialize with students and later connected with them on social media, used the events to socialize with college students and made them feel uncomfortable in social media in ways that were just not cool. So, again, this guy, he's a gay man, and pretty much what they said he was doing was coming down to these events and talking to people and making them feel uncomfortable and making them feel like talking to them in a sexual way, I guess, making unwanted advances. So, message logs obtained by The Intercept, both from leaders of college Democrats, UMass Amherst chapter group, as well as chats one of them had with Morse, shed new light on how this purported scandal was deployed. As a condition of obtaining the logs, The Intercept agreed to publish some of the chats and paraphrase others. On Wednesday, following a statement by Morse, the statewide college Democrats chapter clarified that he had in fact only attended a single event during the course of his campaign. And pretty much a big part of this allegation here was, again, right, he was using his power as a congressional candidate, which is kind of funny because, I mean, at that point, not really many people knew who that guy was. It's like an amazing, super powerful congressional, if you're in Congress, you have power, but if you're a congressional candidate, I could sign up to be, I'm too young, but any adult could sign up to run for Congress if they wanted to, but it just wouldn't be successful. The idea that inherently being a congressional candidate makes you have power is just hilarious. But, it was after that event in October 2019 that the leadership of UMass Amherst chapter began to talk about leaking a story damaging to Morse, again, according to those online communications. Timothy Ennis, the chief strategist for UMass Amherst College Democrats, admitted in chats that he was a quote-unquote Neal Stan, and he felt conflicted about involving the chapter of college Democrats in a future attack on Morse, saying, quote, "But I need a job. Neal will give me an internship." So pretty much what he did is made this whole thing up for a freaking internship with Richard Neal. Tried to ruin this guy's life, ruin this guy's career for a freaking internship with Richard Neal. Just cold-blooded. When people think about politicians, when people think about Washington creatures, these are the people that they think about. People who are no morals, no values, just the next rung of the ladder of power. They stand for nothing. They have no values, and they're willing, except for accumulation of power, accumulation of wealth, and accumulation of just societal advancement. It's really ridiculous. Yeah. So Ennis was president of the chapter, which is a post that he held from April 2019 to April 2020 when he was term limited out. Leaders of the College Democrats group went beyond merely plans to leak. They also explicitly discussed how they could find Morse's dating profiles and then lead him into saying something incriminating that would damage his campaign. And he just wanted a boyfriend. This guy just wanted to meet some dudes on Tinder. That should not be a crime under any circumstance. But that effort appears to have failed to generate the material that they hoped for. But the group's leaders did believe they held damning evidence they contemplated leaking, which is kind of funny because, it really makes sense as to why they didn't really leak it, that The Intercept got a hold of this a little bit early, because the stuff that is in there, maybe you could infer by now, it's just ridiculous. It's not sexual at all. So let me read more into the story. The effort appears to have failed to generate the material they hoped for, but the group's leaders did believe they held damning evidence they contemplated leaking Instagram messages again between Morse and Andrew Abramson, who in April became president of the organization after Ennis did. Ultimately, the College Democrats did not release any chats or any specific claims against Morse. Again, we're making broad allegations here, and they literally failed to find an accuser. They failed to find someone who would come out there and say, this guy made me uncomfortable. This is what happened. Just saying he did it with students at a time, and I felt a little bit uncomfortable. This, and it tried to ruin this guy's life over this. This is just sickening, absolutely disgusting, freakish behavior. So Morse was an adjunct professor at UMass Amherst until the fall of 2019 and has acknowledged having a consensual relationship with students, but has said he had never had an inappropriate relationship with a student of his. No such allegations have been made. And when I saw the length of the statement that he released and the things that he said in it, and just started to read more and more about the story, things throughout this entire week just felt increasingly fishier and fishier and fishier until about a day ago when the story was released. On October 5th, Morse attended College Democrats event at a local community college. Neil also appeared and was introduced by Ennis, who was at the time enrolled in a journalism class. Neil taught at UMass Amherst, and Neil told Ennis he was impressed by the event. Ennis claimed in the chats Morse sat on a panel, which is probably just very passing remarks, hey, impressive event, thanks, man. That's probably all it was. But Ennis was like, oh my gosh, he just said that to me. Neil just said it. Again, imagine willing to ruin someone's life, again, for a freaking internship with Richard Neal, the chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee. Think about the normal person out there listening to this. Think about how demented your brain would have to be to think, yeah, that's a good idea. That's something I should do. Your brain is warped if that's what you think. Jesus Christ. So pretty much what happened is that Morse sat on a panel with Abramson. After the event, Morse reached out to Abramson on Instagram to say that it was a pleasure meeting. The two had previously matched on Tinder, and Ennis said in the chats, but had never met up. To match on Tinder means that both parties must swipe in the same direction in order to begin on a conversation. If you're unfamiliar with Tinder, swipe left, swipe right. Swipe right, I think, means that you like them. And then if they see your picture and swipe right on you, then you start a conversation. So, So this was the chat. I think Abramson sends this picture and with the caption, not overt, but it's very clear he's not talking to me for no reason. And then this is the response, because Alex Morse was saying, oh yeah, nice meeting you, whatever. And then he says, thank you, good to see you too. And then literally the chat was that he responded, the incredibly sexual, awful, disgusting, uncomfortable chat was, how was the rest of your weekend? And then response, pretty good. I went home last night to surprise my mom for her birthday. How about you? Oh, that's nice. How was that? I had an event to go to last night to speak, then had a wine tasting party at a friend's house. Now I'm in North Adams about to march in a parade. And then the response for that is, read that message. That's what Abramson says to his College Democrat friends, leave that message. Also, don't mind me totally leading him on. So, you're the one who's being the asshole here sexually. It's not him, which is insane. This will sink his campaign, Ennis said, calling it a part of a pattern of Morse dating students. The conversation with Abramson appears to be connected to the charge that underlies the College Democrats' statement against Morse when they said that Morse sought out students that he met at our events privately on social media in a manner widely understood by our generation to indicate intimacy. It's like, okay. After Ennis concluded that the chats with Abramson would sink Morse's campaign, fingers crossed, the conversation between Morse and Abramson continued for another several weeks. During that same period, Ennis was a student at Neil's The Politician and the Journalist class at UMass Amherst and had been hoping to open with other members of the College Democrats. Had been open with other members of the College Democrats about hoping to land a job with Neil later in the future. So The Intercept reported that on Tuesday, and Ennis in chats quipped that perhaps he should leak the information by including it in a paper for Neil's class. It's like he was going to run up to Richard Neil and be like, "Did you see Mr. Neil? I just ruined that guy's career because of BS allegations, and he was primary challenging you. Will you please give me a job now? Please, 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 please." Like, yeah. So also last fall, Ennis was driving through New Hampshire with Claire Sheedy, a fellow College Democrat, as both were campaigning for Pete Buttigieg, which makes so much sense to me. I mean, like, you think of like who the type of people that Pete Buttigieg attracts. Like Timothy Ennis seems like number one on the list. Buttigieg, they were campaigning for him, so Sheedy was like, yeah, he spoke very highly of Mr. Neil. What he said was to me that he wanted Neil to be his quote unquote in to politics and work his way up from there. Sheedy asked what he thought of Morse, and Ennis told him that he is known for dating students and had recently matched on a dating app on Tinder with a fellow College Democrat, which is probably Abramson, and chatted with him on Instagram. A statement to Mass Live on Monday, Neil spokesperson Katie Norton denied any collaboration between the Neil campaign and the student groups, adding that the Neil campaign commends those courageous students. The College Democrats also responded to allegations of cooperation with the Neil campaign, writing on Twitter to suggest that our decision to send a letter to Mayor Morse was a quid pro quo with Representative Neil, his campaign, or anyone else is untrue, disingenuous, and harmful. Yeah, so talk about harmful and disingenuous. Like, look at this. Yeah. In the chats, Ennis also floated the possibility of leaking allegations against Morse to Politico and pitching the story to Alex Thompson, a political reporter for the outlet. And Thompson reached out to the Morse campaign as part of his reporting, although ultimately did not run the story until months later, which is after the college paper run it. So it was like, yeah, the Politico didn't work. So, yeah. Just look at the stuff that they had in here. It's just ridiculous. Yeah, Politico didn't work, so they did go with the Massachusetts Daily Collegian, but still, it did pick up. But thank God this Intercept story was run. So after receiving the inquiry, Morse said he reached back to Abramson, the only student Morse had communicated with the College Democrats event during his campaign. Morse said he apologized if his outreach, again, which was, "How was your weekend?" And I'm marching in a parade and I'm surprising my mom for her birthday party. Like, that's, if he apologized if that made him uncomfortable, and then of course Abramson blocked him. So just, if you know anything about social media, if you spent any time on social media, blocking someone is normally a sign that, like, kind of screwed up there. Like, it's something didn't exactly go your way. Yeah, so, and you're being probably most likely the disingenuous, shitty one. So, Ennis said in chats that he learned from profiles, said in the chats that he learned from people who had graduated previously that Morse was on Tinder, sharing a screenshot of a profile from the year before. The profile is standard dating app fare and does not include Morse's title as a mayor of the nearby town in Holyoke, a position he's had since 22. Nor does it mention his time as an adjunct at UMass, which ended last fall. So again, the horrific power grab, which includes not listing any of your positions of power. So in your dating profile. So it's very, very funny. And he literally has a picture with, like, Hillary Clinton in his dating profile, which is literally all it says is 5'11", active, young, professional, enjoy coffee, politics, exercising, tennis, volleyball, hiking, and traveling. Open to a meeting up for coffee. A drink, or a meal. Ennis said in chats that Morse had never matched with him or messaged him, but discussed an effort to find him and match. So in a statement that of all the initial letter, college Democrats wrote that the letter was written at the direct request of those affected by Mayor Morse's behavior and whatever. Yeah, so this is just, again, the student group denied Ennis's professional ambition played a role in crafting of the strategy. Moran